Poppin' YouTube family. It's your boy The White. Welcome back to the channel, Silverback Siage. Hope all is well with everybody. First off, do me a huge favor. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I post new content. Now today, I plan to probe back off into the house of Maison Alhambra / Lattafa. Because one thing about them, they are doing an excellent job with these Tom Ford expired / clones. And I got 2 more of them for y'all. Keep it locked. Well, let's get right down to it. I have to be honest with y'all. I was very impressed with my first 2 Maison Alhambra fragrances that was actually cloning these Tom Ford fragrances. So I took a look on Jomashop's website and I had to grab me 2 more to see if they was equally as impressive. Let me give you my 2 cents. Let's get right down to it. These 2 here are clones of Lost Cherry and a clone of Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford. Now, with these 2 fragrances here, I've actually showed you guys the box presentation in my previous video, but this one is called Lovely Cherry. And then there's Porto Neroli. They most definitely didn't show any shame when it came to box presentation and bottle presentation, trying to make it as close as they possibly could to the Tom Fords. But are these really good? I will definitely let you know. The first one I have here in Lovely Cherry, the main accords is sweet, cherry, almond, amber, nutty, fruity, vanilla, and balsamic. Let's give her a spray here before we go off into the notes. Sprayers are pretty good on these, for sure. Not weak by no stretch of the imagination. With top notes of bitter almond, rose, mid notes of cherry and black cherry and amber, base notes of tonka bean, toffee, and Peru balsam. Very good smelling fragrance, but I'll give you my 2 cents on it here in just a second. Now this one here, like I stated before, is a clone of Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. I've actually smelled that one, a small sample of that one. But this one here, for as far as my taste is concerned, is maybe a little too cherry forward. As far as it begins to remind me a tad bit of like a cherry cough syrup. I think that's the best way for me to put it. Now, as this begins to dry down, the almond is there from the beginning, but it's not as prevalent as both of those cherries that they put in here. And as it begins to dry down, you do get that amber and you do get the tonka bean mixture, which provides a more of a sweet dry down. But for me, this one here, to me, in my humble opinion, smells a little better on my wife than it does me. I've used it on my skin quite a few times over the last couple weeks that I've had these clones here. And what I will say that's in favor of it, it's very similar. Maybe I would say 90% similar to that Lost Cherry scent profile. But I've came to the conclusion that the Lost Cherry scent profile overall isn't something that I just love and I got to have in heavy rotation. Now, it does have a place in my collection, so I'm happy that I got it. But I will say, to me, this one on my skin is better when I layer it with something like a boozy fragrance, a heavier amber fragrance, maybe even like a fall wintertime offering, and then you put that hint of cherry in to that mix. Gives it a little bit of a mysterious and seductive edge. But by itself, I can't say I love it on my skin. So if I had to rate this one on a scale from 1 to 10, I would give it about a 6.5. Because overall, this one here is my least favorite of the 4 Tom Ford clones that I own thus far. But it does smell good. Ladies, I would strongly recommend it for you. You can actually use it by itself and in layering combos as well. Next one, and we're going with Porto Neroli. Give it a spray so we can get it drying down while I'm talking about it here. Now this one, the main accords for this one is citrus, white floral, green, fresh, and aromatic. And that main accord breakdown right there is everything that this fragrance is, let me tell you. I recently, as of yesterday, resampled Neroli Portofino. just to kind of get my nose on it and really do a side-by-side comparison, because I had this on my hand as well before I even got to the mall. This one has top notes of neroli, lemon, mandarin orange, jasmine, and bitter orange. So lots of orange in that opening. Mid notes of orange blossom, lavender, and sea salt. Base notes of herbal notes, amber, and wormwood. Now, what do you get with this fragrance? Right off the bat, before I even put it to my nose and break it down for you, I will say this one here is 95 to 97% similar to the real Neroli Portofino. They hit the needle right on the head with this one right here. Mm, mm, mm. Fresh, clean. The Neroli is the star player in this fragrance, hence the name of the fragrance to begin with. But it's very white floral dominant, and in plenty of greens that are mixed in this fragrance as well. But when I smelled the original Neroli Portofino yesterday, I would have to say, and my wife actually agreed, that if you're not one of those guys that is big on labels or taking a look at your mantle and making sure that you actually have the actual original fragrance in your collection, this one here can suffice as far as I'm concerned. Now, am I saying that I'll never buy Neroli Portofino? No, I'm not necessarily saying that, but I won't go hunting down the 100 ml bottle. I may not even invest in the 50 ml, because I've recently seen on Jomashop that within those Tom Ford private blend fragrances, they have like 30 ml bottles for around that $100 to $120-ish price range. So I may just get the smaller bottle. So when I'm really in the mood to have the real deal Holyfield, I actually have that in my collection. But this one here is going to get heavy burn this late spring going into summer. And I can actually tell you, if I had this one in my collection when I did my spring list, I can guarantee you would have made the top 10. That's how impressed I am with this one. Now, what you get is you get that neroli, lots of orange and that bitter orange in the opening, but all of those green notes along with that neroli reign supreme throughout the whole composition and the whole wearing of this fragrance right here. And then as you dry down, you get that sea salty vibe with it that begins to end up with just a hint of amber, but it never gets too warm. This here, I can actually say is spring in a bottle. So spoiler alert, I would definitely say that it will make my spring 2025 list hands down, easily. I find it hard pressed that I would be able to find 10 fragrances that give you that spring, flowers blossoming, you finally be able to get back outside after those cold winter days vibe out of a fragrance that I would find 10 that are better than this. Sometimes this is actually proves that price isn't always the dominant factor on whether or not something either makes your list or has a prevalent and strong presence within your collection. Now, as far as a rating for this one here, scale out of 1 out of 10, I'm giving this here a 9.2. It's between that 9.2, 9.5 rating for me. Perfect 10, I can't say that, because I will say the one thing about the original Neroli Portofino, it's smoother. But I mean, it should be, because if you go with a 50 ml bottle of Neroli Portofino versus this $30 offer here, you're going to pay about that $280 to $300 price point, when even on discounters, Neroli Portofino going to run you $220, $240, something like that. When you can get this bottle for 30 bucks and you get 95% of that scent profile, nothing to be ashamed of. And unless you have a trained nose within the fragrance community, I can't see how you could actually even tell the difference. So I strongly recommend both of these offerings right here. I just can honestly say that the Lost Cherry scent profile to me smells better on my wife than it does on me. But if you have any other ones from this Maison Alhambra line, or just within the Maison Alhambra Lattafa umbrella that you feel I should get my nose on, leave a comment in the comments and let me know what you think. But these two are awesome. I'm happy with all 4 that I have thus far. Who knows, I may get a few more of them. That's my time. Peace.